have the most up-to-date information that anybody can use. So this came straight from the CDC, and you know, we can just, as recommendations change, which they're bound to, we can just keep saying.
You can't go wrong just putting that up on the wall.
Yep.
So, no resolution drafted for next time. Do we need anything official, or we're just gonna start doing this?
I made my thoughts. Everybody else, please,
Yeah.
please speak your thoughts.
And I think it's a good idea posting.
No policy, no code, no.
No.
Okay, anybody else?
No.
So moving on to item 8, discuss IT service provider.
Yeah, so there's nothing in your packets yet, but I just wanted to keep everybody updated. I did compile a list, I did get quotes, and I did talk to our resource, and by next packet, you should have hard numbers and solid recommendations.
Is the Advent in the running?
Yes.
I have a real problem with that. I'm old school. Maybe the solicitor next to me doesn't agree, but I'm thinking a retainer, if you give somebody $500 to be on call, the $500 is not just so I can call you. You should be able to do $500 worth of work, then start billing me. Advent doesn't do that. You pay them, I think we're paying them $8.95 or $8.67 a month, and then every time they come here, they charge us. It's not right. They should use up that $8-something first.
So
I don't understand that.
the way that Advent operates is that it's $45 per time we call them, I believe, and then some of the other, and this is what I'll outline for you.
No, you misunderstand me. The monthly fee we pay them,
Right. It does not cover.
I don't want to pay them a monthly fee just to have be able to call them.
Yeah, and some of the other providers don't charge for issues like Advent does, and that's what I'll definitely outline individually.
And I understand from you girls that they do a good job, but I just...
But that's a retainer that doesn't get you anything,
Yeah.
except they'll answer the phone and come, right? $800 is a retainer?
Well, that's for like operating like all of our desktop, operating our network, operating like our
So they are providing a service
yeah.
for the 800.
Yes, it's outlined item list by item list.
They didn't explain it to me that way.
So we can, and that's what I'm gonna like put in the report, break down exactly how much we pay for each service. It's like the network, the firewalls, the sorts of things like that.
It's like
And then,
$10,800 a year. That's a lot of money for those.
and there are cheaper options.
Do your
Yeah.
job. Okay.
Do they do backup? Do they do
Yes.
backups for you?
Yes.
Yep.
And store that off-site?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
We
And
do
so-
get benefit out of it.
Yeah.
But then there's just other companies that if we need help, to Mr. Lawson's point, they're like, if something went wrong, it's because something went wrong with the service you're paying for, we'll fix it for free kind of deal. So, you know, there is a difference there, but just making sure I'm comparing apples to apples with like, this isn't just our tech help desk, although that's a service they do help us with. They are, you know, providing our network, storing data offsite, backing up. You know, they do a lot.
Yeah.
It's, you know, it's not just operating Word on a desktop that's not connected to the internet. It's a lot of data storage and management as well.
I'm the worst for the computer stuff. I think it's all too expensive. But
But I'm very close to having a full report for you that y'all can mill over and pick apart, ask questions.
Perfect. Okay, sounds great. Moving on to item number 9, discuss El Remo residents' stormwater concerns. Supervisor Dupree?
Yes, I asked this to be put on the agenda because in January's first meeting, there was a message in my board packet from Representative Piscaric's office, and actually it was from Ms. Singer, was asking all of us whether or not the 27th or 28th of January would be opportune to any of us to meet with Mr. Piscaric's office over some concerns of some residents in El Remo over some stormwater issues. So in reaching out to Ms. Singer to get the date was never made. And then so I reached out by email to Mr. Piscaric's office to try to get an idea of where the properties were, who the and whether or not a date was set up. But they said that there was no interest. It seemed to them that there was no interest of the township to meet with Mr. Piscaric's office. So he has a meeting with the property owners on February 18th. They did invite me to go to listen to their concerns, and they wanted me to extend the invitation to anybody else that wants to go. It seems to be that it's on somewhere around Davidson Drive. I did reach out to Ms. Singer to see if there's been any complaints over in that area below the El Rama Park. I'm not sure exactly what's going on there. I guess I would know on the 18th. But if any of you guys have any idea if there's any history of anything going on there, or if there's any complaints of anything going on there. Well, I just wanted to extend his invitation. If anybody else would like to meet with him and the residents that are having an issue over there.
Bobby, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna ask Bobby, is there any historic, information on this?
I haven't, I just got the email, I think it was yesterday, and I have not had time to look.
Okay.
We haven't had a complaint down there.
I don't recall, but and I think it's on here as far as process goes. If you could let Mr. Pisaric's office know, please. The whole stipulation with the sunshine law and having to get these things on the agenda so we can get a task force or something. It's always kind of awkward. No one attends anything arbitrarily because everybody's afraid that 3 of us will show up and we now have a sunshine law violation. So if you could please, on my part, extend apologies on that. I'm sorry. Now, Rick, what were you going to say about this? Do you know anything?
I'd like to have the floor.
Okay.
After I was informed, I believe it was the last meeting, that there's a problem on, and I believe it's called the salon down there, that the lady's getting flooded. I went down the next day, and I've probably been down there 10 times since. I could not tell what was wrong with the catch basins because it was frozen. But as you know, last week we had several days of rain, and I went down there. I understood the complaint to be that she's getting flooded. It's impossible. She's higher than the street. In my opinion, again, historical streets that were paved, no catch basins, no curbs. These catch basins happen to be 6-8 feet off the road in the grass. I did get out, and I was going to pull the catch basin grate off, but that's the road department's job. They should be doing that. I did look in the low end of the catch basin. It looks like only a 10 or 12 inch SDR 35 pipes in there. I can't see the upper one because it's full of leaves. Maybe it's full of dirt also. But on those severe rains last week, the water was running off the road, along the edge of it, down to the next catch basin. Her parking lot, although, leans towards her house, and all the water from the parking lot was going towards her house. The sad part is, the road crew should be able to fix this. To me, they should get out there and clean the catch basins. They should talk to Lenny, try to get the fire department to open it up. The real sad part is, we've had a sewer jetter here for 2 years, and they haven't even started the darn thing, alone want to use it. If you can't, and we have a cutter for it. It's a perfect machine for it, if the pipes are there. We could go to Evie, we could rent a camera. I think last time I rented one was $75. And if it's bad, the pipe, I would recommend new pipe, putting it right along the edge of the road, and I would fill it 100% with stone, And in the spring, I would put a curb on it by hand and let it run down to the next one. This is something the road crew can handle 100%.
Could you tell me how did you get the information about the complaint, that where it was at and what it,
It's on the complaint.
oh, because I asked Ms. Singer if she knew what property Mr. Piscaric's office might be. So there is a complaint here at the township, or?
No, they gave me an address.
Okay, because
And
I
that's
had
all I
emailed
gave
you, asking you if you knew any,
All I
what
had
property
was an
owners, and you
address.
said that you didn't ask them.
No, I did. I called them and I asked them. They
Oh.
didn't give me the information at first.
So you
I
didn't,
called-
I just don't understand that I was
Can I
asking
finish saying
you.
something, please?
Absolutely.
I called them and asked them for the information. They did not want to give it to me. I pushed them and they gave me an address. That is all they gave me. I have nothing in writing from them. All I had was an address that the girl at Mr. Piscaric's office gave me.
And then Rick got the complaint.
There is no complaint. I gave him an address.
So I had emailed you, after I got the email in my packet, that you stated that Mr. Piscaric's office wanted to discuss an issue in El Rema. And so I emailed you, do you have any idea what properties or anything that he's talking about? So you had said that no, that you didn't ask, and that it would be very hard, you answered with, it would be very hard to find out if there was any complaints because he didn't state what the property owners or the properties were. So then I asked you at the next meeting whether or not the meeting was arranged, because it was in our packet, and you said no, it wasn't. And so when I called Mr. Piscaric's office, or actually emailed them, they said that they were told by the secretary that nobody in the board was interested in meeting with
That
them.
is not what I told them.
It's
I
in my
never
emails.
responded to them in that
Well, there
way.
is definitely a miscommunication with Mr. Piscaric's office and also with us, because I thought that I made you
I
aware
just
that I
got
was
the
interested
address
in
last
the.
week.
So he has the complaint and the information and the
I don't
Okay,
have
address.
an
okay,
address.
I'd like to.
I don't
I'd
know
like
if there's
to-
some
If there,
confusion.
in the administrative area, we could probably discuss this on, not in the public. Seems like there's some miscommunication, I'm sure that could be straightened up. The real issue is the complaint and how we're gonna solve it. So, if I'm,
And why Piscaric's office got a hold
Yeah,
of it?
why you got so one step
well,
higher?
no,
than-
now, I wanted to ask something else. Has this situation been given to Sean? How did this, does anybody know, is this one of the issues Sean has looked at, or Albert?
Sean also, in his report from last year, one of his recommendations, he has pictures of it, right there. And it's on the recommendation for 2022. Here's what the road looks like, no curb, it just runs right off of it. I mean, I went to Sean's, maybe this wasn't a complaint, that's where I got it.
I also would have went to Sean if I knew the property owners or where the property was, but
We got this January 31st, 2022, you have this.
no, I do not.
You don't have Sean's report, why do
I don't have those, anything to do with the properties in El Rema or.
No, this is Harshman. This is the work he's recommending that's to be
The
done.
pictures and stuff that you have there, no, I did not get anything with any pictures on it.
So can I ask, does anybody know, is the road crew aware of this?
Yes.
They are?
Mhm.
Okay, so what does the board wanna do? I mean, this sounds like this is an issue that can be fixed in-house.
Send them down and fix it.
I'll talk to them on either tomorrow or Friday, whenever I meet with them guys, and have them get on, take a look at the catch basins. And they should be unfrozen by now.
It
It's
is.
56 degrees.
It
And
is. I
get
was
on
on there
there.
yesterday.
Have them go down there and clean out the, what road's it on? Davison.
Davison.
Okay. Have them get down,
Davison, Fairview, I think.
okay. Have them get down and take, and open them up and take a look at it. We got 3 guys now. We got time to do stuff.
Every one of the catch basins, it looks,
While they're down there
It's
checking
overgrown.
manholes, they can take a look at this.
well, they should address this.
Yeah.
Just to offer some information on inlets, I don't know if the board is aware of this, but when I was doing outfall screenings for MS4, using the GIF stuff, I also started and if they were clean badly, needed replaced and things like that. And so it's in its infancy stage, but in anywhere that MS4 was necessary, MS4 outfall screens were necessary. I also have a repair and maintenance status for inlets as well. And so if this is a priority for the board.
January 28th, 2022. I wouldn't think he'd just give this to me. This lists all the work that the Albert and the guys rode around with him, told him he needs. In fact, complaint from 44 Davidson Avenue, El Rima. Then there's another one, 10 Morgan Lane. I think it's wrote wrong. It says across from Dupre's. That's 10 Morgan Lane isn't across from Dupre's nursery. That's the two addresses. That was.
If there's a way that maybe I could get a copy of whatever he's referring to, but I definitely didn't get that.
So, question on the process. So then Sean has that, or Sean understands the problem, so did the road crew. So I think what we need to do is get some, when the problems arise, they just need to be taken care of. I don't think problems like that need to come to the board table.
No.
If they're in our road department, I think they just need to get done. That's part of probably some of this miscommunication. By the time it gets here and goes to a state representative,
It shouldn't get to
and
the state
then they're
representative.
trying to get meetings together with supervisors, that's difficult just for complaints, because there's a complaint form process. And here, looks like it has already been at least addressed on verbally.
But if the water's coming from her parking lot down to her building, that's not our concern.
Well, it's
Does
only
anyone
two
know
cars
that?
leaning
So-
side by side. If you get down and put an eyeball on it, you'll see.
Sounds good, I'm working out.
So, can we, yes, Bobby?
Regarding the complaint on Morgan Lane or Morgan Drive, whatever, there was a letter sent to the homeowner last year in September to contact us regarding the issue, and we would set up a meeting with the engineer to resolve the issue. The gentleman never contacted us. So he has now then gone to Mr. Puskarik's office and said, we're not doing nothing, but I have the letter, I have everything that transpired in that situation, and he's never contacted us like he was asked to.
Okay, so let's maybe, can we give this?
So are you saying the people in Morgan Lane went to Mr. Piscarik's office as well?
Yes.
Okay, so our problem here, not problem, but our responsibility is to fix the problems, or try at least to see what the problem is and try to attempt to fix it if it's in our wheelhouse. So Davison Avenue, we're gonna have the road crew go down tomorrow. Do you think that's something they can fire up the storage jetter?
No,
Okay,
nobody knows how to use it yet.
okay, so then can we talk with Lenny Bailey about maybe getting
Yes,
A fire truck?
and the road crew needs pushed to use the equipment we are purchasing for them. They need to.
So everyone knows what the problem there is? So it needs a storage jetter. I have still been trying to find out what the problem there is.
No, I'm going from what Rick is saying, and I'm just hearing what Rick said.
We have
based
a
on
cure for the problem, but I still don't know what the problem is.
It's a plugged catch basin and or pipe.
Okay, so Dave, if the board feels like it's an okay idea, that Dave could talk to the gentleman tomorrow to maybe see if they can go and get that resolved, so.
If I may, I'd like to have the floor for 10 Morgan Lane.
Certainly.
When we get a complaint here, we jump on it. And I went down to Morgan Lane. First of all, the house is in a floodplain, as per Harshman. So whoever builds in a floodplain, they're gonna get flooded. But I see the biggest problem is, where Ray's Auto Body is, there's a culvert that goes under Route 88. On Ray's Auto Body side, that trapezoid ditch for the creek is 6 to 8 feet wide. It goes underneath 88, and the homeowners have decided to put a driveway down, so they put railroad ties up, and now that creek's only 2 feet wide with railroad ties. They direct it down to the rear of Morgan Lane, and they put railroad ties to make a 90. Then it goes underneath Morgan Lane, 18 inches wide with railroad ties. It comes out the other side of Morgan Lane and makes a 30-degree turn with railroad ties so that number 9 Morgan Lane could put a garage right there. So I don't know how we can be responsible for any of this. I think this is self-inflicted.
So here's.
But the board jumps on all these complaints. I'm upset that Passaic got it. That's ridiculous. We jump on everything right away.
Well, he's
Well, we know
probably,
about it.
well, and I'm sure his office is just hearing, you know, and they're doing what we would do, just responding and trying to see how they can solve the problem. So the good thing is here is, it sounds like we all have a plan. And, question on the Morgan Lane, Bobby, the gentleman you said didn't get back to the township, do
No.
you think it's possible, and this would, started Bobby, talk to you, and then I'm gonna flip over to Terry. Terry, I know that we had a discussion with Sam Carroll on some steps to mitigate flooding. Excuse me. Do you think that we could possibly connect with the gentleman or whoever it is on Morgan Lane and possibly send them some of the history? I mean, we did pass an ordinance on repairing waterway responsibilities to our friends and neighbors in the floodplain. I got one too. I have responsibility there. And that was a big step in the ordinance. And then we actually spent, I don't know how much we spent on that mailing, but it was quite pricey. At the request of some of the residents at a flood workshop to help everyone understand their riparian waterway rights. Could you maybe communicate that? If the board thinks that's an okay idea, and some of the things that we're working on, or actually you're working on in flood preparedness going forward with some of the things Sam gave to us and that you're going to be tackling in 22.
Absolutely.
Do you board think that's a good idea? That way we can start
Yeah.
communicating?
I don't have any information on the Morgan Lane one, but I can tell you that at least 2 of those properties flipped ownership in the last year, so it could be why. I didn't know anything about Piscaric's office in Morgan Lane, but I can tell you there's 2 houses that have changed ownership in the last year, so chances are they contacted Piscaric's office and never followed through because they sold the house. They might not live there anymore. That might be why they.
You even contacted us and then
Us,
never
yeah, and then never
then the new
followed through,
people.
yeah. There was one person that owned 3 houses on that street. She passed away. It went to a nephew. They've since sold off.
Just curious, Supervisor Dupree, when you talked to Mr. Puseric's office, did he mention the second complaint, or did he just talk to you?
No, it was all by email. It
Oh,
was all by
okay.
email.
So Bobby,
So-
when did the second complaint? It just came in after first, at some point? You don't have to give me.
I found out about the second complaint after they had originally called about a meeting.
Okay. All
And
right,
the
well,
letter was sent to the gentleman at Morgan Lane September 7th or September 8th of September 7th of last year, and he never responded to us.
well, Terry, maybe based on that, maybe you can find out if that person is still there.
We can reach out and just kind of see what the status is and if we can offer any information.
If the last name was Newland, they're still there.
So does, is the board feel good with this plan? And I know, Mr. Dupree, you mentioned a meeting on the 18th. Do you have any thoughts? Do you wanna?
I'd like to, well, since he's already got it going, I am probably gonna go talk to the property owners just to get a better understanding. It's the only information I have. It seems that maybe it's because I'm new, but it seems that everyone has a full understanding of the issue down there except for me, so I probably will. And I don't think there's a problem with 3 supervisors being there unless there's some form of deliberation going on about it. So I'm still, all I did was tell him, or it was a lady from his office, that I would extend the open invitation to anybody from the township that wanted to talk to those residents.
I have no desire to be at the meeting.
Okay, so if any board would like to, please feel free to reach out to Mr. Dupree.
Oh, it would be at his office.
Okay. And as far as the sunshine law and no deliberation at a meeting, I have to make a comment on this, and we go back to the communities, and the right to know and how other communities do things certain ways. I've been through a lot personally in this township where it, you know, on its face, it's not what it is, but the allegation could be made anyway. So I'm gonna say that I will err on the extreme side of caution and not be anywhere with anybody in threes. Any other thoughts?
Nope, I'm good.
Okay, number 10, and this is a complement to number 9, which is discuss complaint procedures that are received in a non-traditional fashion. So when Ms. Singer did receive these from Representative Puseric's office, it was not in form as usual. Our complaint process is very controlled through Harshman's, Mr. D'Amico's team and office. Gary, can you speak to the confidentiality of some complaints? There's a level of confidentiality to complaints that come in that I've always been told that are protected to allow people the comfortability to complain and have no concerns about it, you know, a repercussion of sorts. So when these complaints came in and then requests for meetings, it probably delayed, I know it delayed myself on procedure, and it probably delayed our staff a little bit because it's non-typical. So going forward, when we receive complaints directly from representatives, do you have any advice on how we handle that?
Yeah, we need to instruct them to get into the channel to appropriately review it. I mean, we have a formal complaint, ask them to fill it out. At that point in time, office staff can decide, should I talk to somebody on the board? Should I turn this over to Jared? Is this a code enforcement issue? Should Sean look at it, take it to the road department? I mean, that's gonna be the filtering process, but it starts with that formal complaint. And we have a form.
Which is, I asked her to look to see if anyone did make a formal complaint over in El Rema. The complaint that came in for Stonebridge, the sinkhole, did that come in with a formal written complaint? Because all I knew is the night of the hearing, you came up to the other board members and said that you had a phone call from a concerned resident, and all of the other supervisors got in a vehicle and went and looked at it. No one ever informed me of what it was, where it was, anything, so was there a complaint form or was
No,
it a phone call?
It was a phone call. The gentleman was concerned because the road was sinking. And I stood there in front of all of you and made that comment.
No, you just said that a resident had a phone call of a concern.
And
they
that's
all knew
exactly,
what
the
address and
resident
they
called
went
and said there
together.
was a sinkhole on the road. And I stood there in
I
front of
didn't
all of
know
you
the
and said
address, I
it.
just knew it was on Stonebridge.
Well, that's a little different. I mean, you don't have time for a formal complaint.
No,
That's
I'm
not-
not gonna tell him he's gotta
I'm
fill a
concerned with the
complaint
fact
form
that
out.
It don't seem to be included.
Yeah.
It's not the only one on, even on this agenda, Spruce Street was the same. It was stated at that meeting that all the roadmasters were gonna get together and come up with a plan for that. So I guess you guys all got a plan for it, but, that's what it was stated at the meeting, at Spruce Street. Everybody was gonna talk about it, but there's a plan. So I do have
I'm not a
some
roadmaster, I
concern.
didn't get together with anybody for Spruce
You
Street.
said you were actually gonna draw it up at that meeting.
No, I actually
I'm
said I
only
have
saying
it
what you
drawn up.
stated. So I do feel that there is some sort of communication break between all of us, at least as far as I'm concerned. I do by email ask for information, I'm told it's unavailable, I'm told I can't get it.
I'd
So,
like to make a statement. When I hear of a complaint, I get in my truck and go. That's all. I don't pick the phone up. Hey Chuck, hey Heather, hey
Yeah.
Michelle. I just go. I just go. If that's
actually,
slighting
you kinda
anybody,
worked
I
it
can't
out with
help it.
Chuck.
I just try to address it and put it behind me.
Well,
Okay,
then maybe I'm misinterpreting it.
so, the complaint procedure, so as Gary has advised, if you receive ones, please again, have, respectfully ask on any other higher office to please follow the complaint procedure. And the good news on that is, if they said they've been complaining X amount of years, because we hear that, I've explained this 10 years ago, 5 years ago. The good part is Jared does track all the complaints, so there's no better process than going through that one office, because they do keep a log, and then there's no guesswork. Bobby, you trying to search through minutes or trying to find a file
Jared,
that,
I asked Jared to search for these complaints too.
okay,
He found nothing.
okay. All right, so then, that's good advice. I wasn't at the meeting, just putting that out there, and I didn't go look at the sinkhole. I wasn't at Thursday night's meeting, but I did hear about it, so, do we have that on the agenda, does the sinkhole, oh, we talked about the
Yeah,
sinkhole
we-
already, okay, good. So, moving on, does anybody want to discuss the complaint procedure anymore? Item 11, discuss administrative staff permission to make necessary decisions regarding mechanical, emergency utility issues. The township building will follow bidding procedures as detailed by PSATs when appropriate. This was born out of the furnace going a couple weeks ago.
Monday morning,
Bobby was here by herself dealing with all
half
of it.
power and no heat.
Yes. So Bobby naturally started getting on the phone, calling everybody for procedures. We always check with Gary's office on an emergency procedure like that, because it's possibly $10,000 as it was. No one wants to take action on something that expensive.
Well, this was 7 o'clock in the morning and I pulled Dave out of his truck as he was leaving. And said, you need to come inside.
It was cold. It was cold in there.
So then, Bobby and Carrie, would you be able, if the board is in agreement, to possibly get something written up, some type of a protocol with Gary Sweat's office? That would allow you to just take action and not have to run around and make calls in an emergency situation. It would need updated yearly when the bidding thresholds change.
Yeah.
Is that advisable, Gary? Board?
Yep.
Thoughts?
Yeah, she walks in here 7 o'clock in the morning, there's no heat or no power. You know, she don't have time to be calling all of us to find out what to do. Just get it done.
Okay, so maybe we can look for that in upcoming meetings. Thank you. Anybody have any thoughts on that before I jump over to the bill pay?
I'm good.
Okay, item number 1, approved denied payroll dated February 4th, 2022, in the amount of $13,752.08 for 2 administration and 3 road crew.
I'll make a motion for the payroll date February 4th, 2022, in the amount of $13,752.08 for 2 administration and 3 road crew.
I'll second the, bill pay for $13,752.08.
Okay, any deliberation? Supervisor Track's motion, Supervisor Heskin second. Is there any deliberation? Okay, roll call please.
Mr. Trax,
Yes.
Ms. Dare,
Yes.
Mr. Lawson,
Yes.
Mr. Eskin,
Yes.
Ms. Dupree.
In light of the concern with the W-2 that was sent out and the fact that I was not allotted the time to review it, no.
Is that W-2 included in here? No, I mean, that's a
But I'm still
W-2 from the
concerned
20.
that there may be mistakes and I was not allotted the time
You wanna
to,
review payroll now too?
well,
That's what I'm asking.
sure.
Okay, then you need to be here on a Monday morning by 11 o'clock to review payroll before it goes in.
Monday by 11.
I really think you should make an effort to be here. The last time you complained about it, we held the
Well, let me
bills
tell
up.
you what.
I have the floor.
And
The last time you complained about it, we held the
how
checks.
do you know if I made an effort or not, Mr. Lawson? How do you know?
Okay,
Because you
I'm not gonna
complained
do-
about it at the table.
dang it. Okay, please, if we can, let's let one.
Could I have the floor?
Yes, please, yes.
The last time you complained about not having time to review the bills,
I'm gonna say
Excuse me.
point of
the
order. The motion on the table has to do with approving these bills. It's not a discussion about whether or not Ms. Dupree complained or not. The motion on the table is to do the bills. The vote was taken. Point of order. I'm not gonna go down the road where Mr. Lawson attacks me again.
He's not, he's asking you to do your job.
Oh, do my job.
we held the bills up and
So
they were late.
Mr.
You never
Trax
looked
would
at
like
them.
to attack me as well.
I'm going to ask
Point of
again.
order, Chairman of the Board.
I'm understanding that Supervisor Dupree called a point of order on a procedural issue. Gary, could you please be the mediator here? Is this part of the issue?
The vote was already taken.
Good.
I don't know if you had a comment on this motion or not, because you didn't finish what you were saying. You
made
still have
a
a right to
You
make
made a
comment under I. Down further.
He'll give you the opportunity to attack me on the
okay.
next motion, Mr. Lawson.
Yeah, I'll make it under I.
Bobby, where are we at?
Approving payroll,
Okay,
Brentwood Bank.
now you're in Brentwood Bank, F2.
did you do roll call?
Yeah.
Yes, I
That's
did.
4-1.
Okay, item 2. Approved and I bill pay list for the Brentwood Bank general account in the amount of $29,239.38.
I make a motion to approve the Brentwood General Bank account being paid for $29,239.38.
I'll second. The
Okay.
Brentwood account for $29,239.38.
Supervisor Lawson motion, Supervisor Track second. Any deliberation? Alrighty, roll call please.
Mr. Eskin,
Yes.
Mr. Dupree,
Being that I was not allotted adequate amount of time to review them, my vote is no.
Ms. Dare,
Yes.
Mr. Lawson,
Yes.
Mr. Trax,
Yes.
Item number 3. Approved and I bill pay list for the Brentwood Bank Alrama sewer account in the amount of $191.24.
I'll make the motion to pay the Brentwood Bank Alrama sewage account amount for $191.24.
Hey, I'll second that in the amount of $191.24 to pay the Brentwood Bank Alrama sewer account. Eskin motion, Dare second. Any deliberation? Alrighty, roll call please.
Mr. Lawson,
Yes.
Mr. Trax.
Yes.
Ms. Dare.
Yes.
Mr. Eskin,
Yes.
Mr. Dupree,
Being that I was not allotted an adequate amount of time to review, my vote is no.
Okay, moving on to item G, correspondence. We have received complimentary tickets to the Remodeling Expo, and that is at Heinz Field in 2022. And that's, on the dates of February 11th through the 13th at the UPMC Club. There are a limited number of tickets, but our staff would like to advertise these to the public and try to regulate it, because I'm sure that there'll be, there's limits on the number of tickets per family and how many people are interested at one time. So if the board's okay, we can put that in the hands of the staff to handle and manage up on Facebook. Any thoughts?
That'd be fine.
That's good.
Okay.
Works for me.
Okay.
Where did we get the tickets from?
They came in from, I don't know where they came in from. The
Paper
expo?
L&L Exhibition Management.
Do the board think that it should be limited to residents only?
Fine with me.
Yeah.
I think anybody who lives on McClellan Road should not get these tickets.
I think it's residents
I think
only.
it's residents only.
So
Okay.
Okay, so,
Okay, excuse me, can I clarify then? If
absolutely.
somebody comes in and wants tickets, do I have to ask for proof that they're a resident of the township? I mean, you wanna go that far?
Are we allowed?
That's why I'm asking.
Driver's license? Is that we like to do that, or is that getting into,
How many tickets are there?
how
How
about?
many tickets you have?
She might only have to do it twice if there's 2 tickets.
A lot.
There's 4 on a page. No, there's 8. And I got, oh, there's about 40 of them here.
Oh, cool.
Children under 17 do not need a ticket to get in.
Just ask the question.
Yeah.
Okay.
If they lie, they lie. Give them the ticket.
Well, after getting yelled at as much as I did this week from residents, I don't wanna get yelled at anymore.
Just give them the ticket.
Okay,
Someone complains about their road salting, give them a ticket.
So we're now on to the subject, I know there was correspondence in here, and if I can fumble around and continue to look for it, if I can jump back, I can jump back to correspondence, because I know I have something, but let's move on, please, to public comment. H, any public members, please, feel free.
Bernie Spear, 5106 Church Drive. I have received an email from a resident, and I tried to accommodate them and find their information and help them out, and I've exhausted everything that I can. What the situation is Library Sportsman's Club demolished a house in 2019. That house has not yet been taken off the tax rolls. They made me aware of it in 2020. I contacted Jared D'Amico. He told me that a demolition permit had been issued. Bobby pulled it for me, and we saw that there was a demolition permit. He was to take it off the tax rolls. I received an email in January from Mr. Engler that the house is still on the tax rolls. I contacted Jared D'Amico. He didn't call me back. I talked to Sean. Sean said that wasn't his purview of responsibilities. Gave me Jared's personal cell phone number. Jared contacted me, told me that 3 times he had contacted the county to take that house off the tax rolls. I contacted Washington County Tax Assessment Office. They have yet to receive the demolition permit to take that house off the tax rolls. I contacted Jared again. He said he would send me an email with the 3 dates that he sent the county the information. I never received an email, so I called Jared again. When I called him the 3rd time, he told me he gave that responsibility to Matt in his office, and he would contact Matt. Till today, I have not received a phone call. I was going to check with Jamie if he was here and just ask him to take care of this, but I don't want to wait 2 more weeks because Mr. Englert received his county taxes that still have the taxes on their roll. For 2 years, he has paid school taxes, county taxes, and township taxes because a demolition permit was not forwarded to the township. I don't know where else to go with this. I can't help any longer. So I'm going to send Mr. Englert an email and tell him that I've explained the situation to you all and that I guess you have to contact Harshman and ask them why this hasn't been done. But Mr. Englert has probably paid $4,000 or $5,000 in taxes that he should not have paid because that demolition permit was never filed with the county.
Where was that at?
Library Sportsman Club. They bought the house right on Route 88.
Yeah.
And it was all done, but it's never been filed with the county. So I tried to resolve this and get him an answer to his problem and get it off. It can still be taken off for 2022 as long as they get that demolition permit, but I don't know where else to go with this. I'm not getting a response from Hirschman, from Jared, so
Terry, would you
I'm
be able to
putting it in your lap.
Thank you so much, Bernie. Would you be able to contact
Yep.
Jared tomorrow and then loop in the board on an email so we know that it's being taken care of? And then, if you can, please let Ms. Spears know immediately.
Can you write me your email?
Sure. Okay, thank you very much. Any other public comments?
Kevin Dare, 6187 Route 88, Finleyville, PA. My comment is about the appointment that I received to go onto the zoning hearing board in the 26th of January meeting. There was a couple issues, allegations of wrongdoing, I guess if you want to call it that. 2 of which have been straightened up here tonight, but 1 of which is still ongoing. And I filled out a right to know to get what Ms. Dupree was reading from when she brought up that there was a conflict for a nepotism to be appointed to that board. I received a 1-page, I received the right to know request response. And I got a page, and there is a paragraph here on nepotism. In the right to know, it says that this is from an operational assessment manual dated February of 2017, as authored by Michael Silvestri. That is different from what Ms. Dupree referenced in the January 26th meeting. She referenced it as a supervisor manual and stated a date of 4/2022. I know that isn't right because that hasn't occurred yet. So I'm asking for clarification on, and I sat out the last zoning hearing board meeting because of this issue and the other two issues that you addressed this evening. Do we have a nepotism policy or don't we, or what do I do at this point? I just want to do what's right. I want to serve the township, but I want to do what's right, and that's why I went through the right to know process to try and find out what Ms. Dupree was talking about. So, do we have any kind of?
We looked. I know it was discussed. I know Mike Silvestri made that recommendation in his assessment as part of his consulting. I don't believe it was ever inserted into a manual, nor do I believe it was ever adopted as a resolution. Although there was talk, I don't believe that that's a policy of the township. Unless somebody tells me differently. I know that we've looked through minutes. We've looked through the most current drafts of the employee manual, and we looked at Mr. Silvestri's assessment. So if someone has something different, please bring it to our attention, but as of now, I don't think we have a nepotism policy.
So based on what I hear from tonight on the other two issues and this issue, it's okay for me to be on the zoning hearing?
It's okay, but you submitted a resignation letter, so you would have, didn't you?
No, you don't?
I thought I saw it. Okay, absolutely.
Okay. All right, I just wanted to clear that up, because I don't want to do anything wrong, but I do want to serve the township.
So before you do that though, would like clarification. This clearly states this handbook, and it's in this section. The assessment, operational assessment's in a different section of the book. So it is in this other section of personnel appendage. So if I could get some clarification so that, for him as well.
Well, the point is, does it exist? I'm not sure. Somebody's gonna have to show me that it was adopted. But that policy can be waived. That's not etched in stone. A majority vote of the board waives it. So if they decide to appoint somebody that happens to be a relative by a majority vote, that becomes a waiver of that policy as per that appointment.
So you would have to make a vote to get rid of the nepotism clause.
Well, I think
Because the clause states the only exit from that prohibition is unanimous vote.
I disagree with that. I think that if you
I'm only-
motion someone that is a relative and it's a majority vote, you basically have waived that policy,
So
assuming
any of
it
these
exists.
policies could be waived.
Assuming it exists for that particular nominee.
So let me ask this question, and you don't have to answer this, but what are you reading from Mr. Green?
This is my supervisor's reference manual. The section that is about operational assessment for Mr. Silvestri is in this section right here, which ends right here. The section is under appendix personnel.
Is there a date on there that it was ever adopted by the board?
Well, that's the point. Just because it's an assessment doesn't make it a policy of the township unless you adopt it.
We did adopt all
You did adopt the new employee handbook that I could see, assumingly this is it, but I did find meeting minutes where they changed the employee handbook, I think 2 or 3 times that year. So
Right.
assumingly what I provided was the employee personnel handbook that was discussed in the meeting minutes. But it's not in the assessment.
Yes.
I mean, I can only go by what I'm provided.
It is in the assessment book, Ms. Dupree. It's divided into sections. It says personnel. That's all one manual. I just gave a copy to Mr. Sweat.
I believe it's part of,
It's
it might
part
be
of the assessment
confusing.
manual.
Yeah, it might be confusing, but there are several appendices that are recommendations that go with the assessment manual. That's what I did the recommendation, when I went through recently and.
It's all one manual.
It's a recommendation, it's not a policy.
Correct.
So, what parts of these personnel things are concurrent, which ones aren't? I mean, there's a purchasing handbook in the middle of that, is that,
No, it says personnel appendix B.
I get it, but this purchasing handbook, is this part of recommendation from Mr. Silvestri, is this part
No,
of this book?
that's a separate purchasing manual.
Okay,
That was adopted.
Yes,
investment policies, is that part of his manual, or?
yes.
Or, so that's part of Mr. Silvestri's?
I don't
or-
have it, Michelle, I don't know off the top of my head. Gary, is that part of it?
Supervisor Dupree, if you have time, maybe we can schedule a time to sit down and just look through that so you're clear and have the most up-to-date stuff. And so you understand what pieces, and, you know, I'll make sure that you have the resolution that adopted the most recent thing, and we'll go through and make sure we're all understanding if that's
'Cause
amicable
they all
to you.
have their separate tabs, so I was to assume that each one of these is its own separate section.
Are you still talking about Silvestri's assessment,
No, I'm talking about this,
the reference manual?
yes.
That's what all the
This is my
supervisors were
supervisor's
given.
reference.
You want it?
I don't have one of those.
Yes, you do.
So that's
I
where I
just
got
have
it
the
from.
assessment.
Yeah, that's the
Which is-
assessment.
This is not township policy.
Bobby, could you please provide some clarity and Terry to these
Yeah,
manuals?
I mean, I'm welcome for the
Why don't we
clarity.
set up a time if you're amicable to this,
Okay.
a time to chat, and
I
we'll
I
make
was
sure
provided
everything
this
is-
as my reference manual, I could see Mr. Silvestri's assessment in the middle, but there is so many different things that what would be, what wouldn't be, but that it wasn't
We'll print you
underneath
fresh
that
copies
tab.
of everything that's adopted.
May I ask, if you flip that front cover over, what's the first thing in there, on the first page? Is that the, like, operational assessment?
No,
What is
that's
that?
the Union Township Employee Handbook.
Yeah, there's an employee handbook,
Mhm.
and then there is an operational assessment, both in those binders, the staff provided one to all
And the
of us.
purchasing
And a
handbook is in
purchasing,
there.
And a
there's
purchasing
three
handbook.
separate
Like I
documents.
said, there are different tabs for different things, but
In the
There's-
operational
and
assessment,
actually-
it's tabbed, yes.
Yeah,
But the employee handbook is just a small leaflet
In the very front.
in the
there's
very front.
investment policies, agenda.
Yeah, that's all part of
purchasing.
the operational assessment manual.
So you're saying this purchasing manual is part of the assessment?
Yes.
manual.
Yes, that's
So
correct.
we don't go by this purchasing manual either.
I believe we adopted the purchasing
Yeah.
manual. Yes.
So is there a reason I'd be provided things that aren't adopted, like,
because
Just
everybody
so-
has asked for it, and I was asked to please put that in everybody's book, but just as a reference.
okay.
The,
So
oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
it's just confusing that to be provided a handbook that's supposed to be referenced, but it's full of things that I shouldn't reference. That's where I got confused.
Michelle, in the portion that is the employee handbook, I don't have that in front of me. Is there a section about nepotism in the employee portion of the handbook?
There is one in the marked personnel.
I'm sorry?
It's in the one marked personnel.
Under the assessment.
She's under the assessment.
That's Silvestri's recommendation.
That's just.
Did it make its way into the employee handbook?
I would have to check for you. I asked,
We checked
I
and
can
we,
answer that, and
It
it
did.
did not
it's
say
not.
right.
Okay? So, number one, I don't believe you ever adopted an anti-nepotism in the employee handbook. That's number one. Number two, it can be waived. Number three, when that relative is appointed, assuming we had a nepotism clause, the board is waiving. So, Mr. Dare, you're free to serve.
Okay.
Then why the fuck did they put that in their shit?
What's that, ma'am?
They put that.
In the future, is there any way that these issues could be worked out before? I mean, I know that was on the agenda, that these issues could be worked out before. Because those three items, they were kind of humiliating to me as a person who just wants to serve on the board. That somebody would bring those up in a public meeting, and in my opinion, possibly trying to embarrass the person who wants to sit on the board. I would just ask that those items be brought up before administratively, and those questions would be answered before that person is humiliated in a public meeting, because it was no fun back there.
Okay, any other public comments? Okay, so if I may, I did find the correspondence, if I'm okay to jump back. I found it and I lost it again. So what it was it was a letter from the DGLBR grant company telling us that we have the opportunity to send employees back to get training for the DGLBR, which is dirt, low gravel
Dirt,
road.
gravel, low volume road.
Yes, thank you. So I think it's a wonderful opportunity. Board, please consider it. Any of us could go and get certified. In fact, several of us have to.
Yeah, I was
yes.
gonna say, we have to have somebody certified.
So it's free, and then I think the staff should go, and everybody.
I think Terry,
Yes,
Yeah.
and Bobby if she wanted to
Yes.
go.
From my understanding, they do really also want, like an active hands-on public works person too, so I think we should reach out to the road crew and offer that to them. Because I think the point of those trainings is to make sure that the road crew doesn't, and not our road crew, but road crews in general don't undo work that DGLBR works to mediate.
Okay.
So I think we should ask.
What
the
is
road
that?
crew.
I can't find it right now, but it's in our packet. So if you wouldn't mind, ladies, please.
Oh, it's in the packet?
Yes.
Okay.
If you could put it on the agenda, and I just don't wanna miss it, cause we have, I think, there may be a spring opportunity, and then definitely in August to get grant money. But if we don't have anybody certified, we may miss it. And then in public supervisor comments, anybody have anything?
I do. So, I am new and I am unfamiliar with some of this stuff. If, I do think it's confusing that I was provided a reference manual that has a bunch of stuff that you shouldn't reference, but if that be the case, that that's not in that part, it could have been handled inside the office if there was more time between board packets and agendas before the meeting. This week, because of, I'm assuming, was it snow Friday that you weren't here? So, this last week, because of the snow, Ms. Singer wasn't in the office on Friday, so there was no draft agenda. And I'm not blaming her for not coming, it was pretty snowy. But if there was a policy to put out the draft agenda earlier, because what if it snowed yesterday? Would we just not have board packets? Or, I mean, everything is all the way to the last minute. And if there was a little bit of leeway, because I don't know how we would have held the meeting today if it snowed yesterday on board packet day. I got an email yesterday that I opened up at 3:45 saying that the board packets would be ready for pickup until 4. That email came to me at like 3:20, so I'm lucky I read it in time because the building is normally open until 4:30. So it was just like last minute happened.
May I respond to that, please? Our computers were down for over 4
I
hours
understand.
yesterday. I could not get anything out earlier. I can't pull miracles out of my butt.
So, I said if there was a policy to stop adding to the agenda after a certain time. I mean, a lot of this stuff has been on the last couple agendas at that, but there's, if there was a way that we stopped adding to the agenda after a certain time, because to no fault of Roberta's, things happen, and we are so to the last minute that if they happen, it just doesn't get ready in time. So if there was a way to start putting out draft agendas and bill pays, I mean, I would have been here to look at the bill pays yesterday, but I had a 15-minute notice to come down here because the building was closed in 15 minutes. I came down here early today, but by the time you guys were all done with them, we were in executive session. There has to be more time, and I know that some of you that have sat on other boards have had the same complaint, that a week wasn't long enough, that days weren't long enough. So I've sat in meetings of boards that some of you have sat on, and you have complained that you didn't get your board packet in without more than a week's time to look at it. I just think that letting somebody know by email 15 minutes before the building, that I look at it 15 minutes before the building's gonna close on a abnormally half-hour early schedule, and then come in early. I came in, 20 minutes before the executive session, but by the time you guys were done looking at the bill pays, we were in executive session. It is not enough time.
Mr. Dupree, I apologize, but I got this from you yesterday morning at 11 to add to the agenda. This is why things
Because
don't get done on time.
the reason for that is there was no draft agenda put out until Monday, and that you have told me in the past, even by email, that the drafts have to be finalized by noon on Tuesday. So by the time I got that, I wasn't sure if it was already gonna be on the agenda, but I got the draft agenda at 4 o'clock on Monday. So then the next morning, before the work day, I emailed, if you could have said no, but that's what I'm saying. I think that we as a board need to get organized more, that Roberta has a longer time to get these out.
Mr. Mayor,
Please.
when did we all get this? When did you send the email out to me?
What, for the packets and that? Yesterday,
At 4 o'clock.
because the computers were down for over 4 hours.
It's all the same.
It is all the same. I'm not
Yeah.
denying it's all the same. I'm saying that it's not, things happen.
Okay.
Things happen. There's not enough time to recover from snow, from things being down, from
Welcome to
copiers.
your new job.
Well, maybe if we did it more effectively, we could start on that the draft agenda would be out on a Wednesday, and if it snows, it could make it
There's
out
no
on
way it
Thursday
can
or
be done a week
Friday.
ahead of time. The way things happen with the engineering,
They can't.
things happen at the last minute. I had somebody drop off drawings to me this morning.
What's
They
on this
need-
agenda that's on drawings that you got drawn?
I'm not saying on this particular one, but every meeting, something happens at the last minute that needs to be put on there before it's posted.
But is there anything on this agenda that couldn't have been added last Wednesday?
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm sitting and listening to this. I live in corporate America. I've been going into meetings, $1 million meetings. Walking into the meeting, my phone dings. The agenda changed.
Well-
You're looking at an email going, damn, not ready for that. And you have to understand this agenda is put together by all these people right here. And I work a full-time job. Chucky works a full-time job. These guys, everybody in here works. We can't put an agenda together a week ahead of time. In reality, yes, it would be awesome if we can do it. But in the real world, as much stuff changes in this township. Nah, I mean you get
You're even against the draft agenda coming out earlier or bill pay? There's no way to do anything
Yeah.
unless it's at 4 o'clock the day before the meeting. That's the only thing
But
that you do.
you have to
And I
realize.
can't reach out to any of you guys.
I understand
reach
what you're
out to-
saying, but you have to.
Mr.
What's the
Eskin, you got
word?
your board packet today when you sat down.
Because I have time to come down here and get
Just
it.
saying, do you feel prepared to vote?
Yes,
Even
100%.
though you sat down and said,
Yes.
oh, I better read
I
this. You felt-
I feel 100% positive voting on anything that I vote on because I rely on the professionals to do their jobs to make my job easy, and that is it's bottom line.
You read your email.
Yes, and I rely on our professionals to do their
How
job.
many emails do you guys get? Because I only get one on Friday when the draft agenda's done, and I get one on Tuesday.
I get the same
when
emails you guys, everybody else.
So that is the only emails I get from the staff, other than I got one for Jay this
I
week.
usually have luck, cause I usually
So
have look
I
at
count
for
on
weeks.
reading it, cause I don't really,
Can I make a recommendation, Mr. Cree? If this is something that you think, should be addressed and there should be a policy for, why don't you come up with an idea and we'll put it on an agenda to discuss specifically, like if you believe there is a policy that could be implemented that we should discuss, so that, you know, it's not just,
that's a good idea, thank you.
Okay, so I have a couple comments. As far as the draft, if you have a idea for, or something you want to put on the agenda, you don't have to wait till the day it's published. You could send it in today for 2 weeks from now. Bobby runs a running list and she'll keep that on there. So just keep that in mind. That can be added at any time, not on the day of a meeting either, or even the prior day. There's no limit to when you can add something to the agenda today that you want on 2 months from now.
and we cross-check, like I keep a list, Bobby keeps a list, and then as it gets closer, we say, okay, would you get what I get, and, you know, we cross off, so anyone's welcome anytime. I mean, that's her gig, but
Yeah.
I keep a list too.
We have a very lean staff, and we've been cleaning up years of problems. And I know I'm like a broken record with this, but this is how this whole township has been built. Last minute agendas, I'm not concerned about. I'm concerned about last minute sewage. Everything's last minute here, and that's the real issues. The process is important. What our staff does is impeccable considering the circumstances. I just have to make a statement to the board. When I started here in 2016, I believe, we got agendas when we walked in the room and sat down. In fact, the meetings were generally 10 to 15 minutes starting late because the agendas were changing as the minutes were going as the meeting started. That's documented in the record. And I know there's people here that have attended those meetings that can attest to that. That was last minute. And same thing with your packets. You were getting in here and getting everything live time. And so I'm not saying that, you know, I'm not saying that we can't always work to improve things, but I think our bigger issues is not with our staff. We have impeccable staff, blessed to have them. We're working very lean to clean up past problems. That's the real issue. And that's what my statement is. Anybody else have any comments?
I would like to have the floor. I'd like to make a statement. I think the road crew did a pretty good job with the last snowstorm. Dave was handling it, but I'd like to make that statement. I'd also like to make a statement. I think Bobby and Terry are doing a good job with the agenda. And I always refer to myself as the dumb dirt digger. I don't read the emails, but I think I did pretty good at the meeting. So you're doing good, Bobby. We do have an emergency problem on Lobbs Run Road. We have a slide. I'm going to instruct Dave after the meeting to put concrete barriers and stop signs. We have a sheer drop for 8 feet, 65 feet along the guide rails hang. We also have a slide on Pumpkin Center Road. It's a gas line right away. The gas company needs to be notified, and we need some barriers on it. And I was making a statement before to Michelle Dupre that we did hold the bills up for her to review for 3 days, and she never reviewed them, and we were late on some of the bills. In my opinion, I don't think she will ever have enough time to do it. And when I went to Stonebray, no, I didn't invite you. And I will never invite you to go to a job with me outside of this building. You can be sure of that.
So I have a comment. Are you a roadmaster? I mean, you have a lot of plans for the roads. Are you a roadmaster? Is there a reason like it comes to you? Like, is there a reason that you know about that and have come up with a plan for that and already like
Could
it
I
comes
answer
from
that?
you? Yeah, absolutely.
I take pride in this board, and I
So how
answer
does the
all the
information come to
problems.
you? How does the information come to you?
I dig it up. I get my truck and go look at stuff. I call Sean. Even though we get questioned and we call our professional. So sometimes I can't go, but when I have the time, I've left these meetings and gone to look at them. I take pride in what we're doing.
My other comment is, so as far as the bills getting held up by me, so they were late because you held them for 3 days for a miscommunication, but in the last meeting that you said you'd come down here for a couple hours a week and look at the bill pays. But I'm told that they're not done until the night before the meeting. But you state that you come down here as the treasurer and you go through these bill pays a couple hours a week. But when I want to see them, they're not done until 4 o'clock the night before the meeting.
You're implying that we're holding the bills from you.
No, I'm
We are
implying
not.
that
Let
it
me
is
talk.
not enough time.
That is not an accurate
And I
statement.
have the floor, Mr. Lawson. I am implying that it is not an adequate amount of time to review the bill pay. And I believe that I sat in on a board meeting that you were at, on a different board, where you were making this same complaint, and a week wasn't enough. A week wasn't enough.
Well, let's refer to this. When I'm down here, I see Miss Singer. Is there any bills I can put an eyeball on? When you got time when you're not watering your flowers, come down here and ask her.
Try.
So, if I do
I'm not
ask,
getting
I'm
special
told.
preference.
Well, I mean, nobody has guided me to come down here on a bi-weekly basis and ask Ms. Singer if I can review bills. When I ask if I can review bills, they're not going to be ready until 4 o'clock. That's the emails I get. They're not going to be ready till 4 o'clock on Tuesday. I have asked to see bills. Would you have time for me to review bills? But apparently I'm guilty of holding up. Absolutely.
I have not reviewed
Absolutely.
these, but I will review these and approve these tonight, because I'm familiar with them.
I thought you were handing them to
Until
me.
you dig into it and get familiar with the vendors, you're never going to be comfortable. You can look at bills that are approved and look at them.
Okay,
I'm done.
Since you signed them already, could I take a look at them now?
They're not all signed.
I'm not going to sign.
I signed them.
okay, Bobby, just as a, just double checking,
Here,
last
let
meeting,
her look at them. I'll come down tomorrow and
I
sign.
believe you said that the bills would be ready at noon the day.
I tried to, but with the
But with the
computers
computer,
down,
well,
they
absolutely.
were not ready.
Forget about this, that's why we
Let
weren't
her know she
receiving
can't
emails,
sign.
that's why we
Treasurer
got
has to sign.
packets
Be the
late,
last signature.
because of the IT problems this week. But historically, we have these ready,
I try to get them ready by noon
Noon.
because the amount's gotta be on the agenda when
Right.
it gets posted at 4 o'clock.
so it's usually, that's the rush days for anybody serving this community. The 2 days, the day before a meeting and the day of, everybody sacrifices. It's,
Oh,
it's
yeah,
not-
when I come down there, if they're not ready, Bobby, get out of my office, you know? She tells me that.
Okay, so that's, I mean, I don't think we can improve on that. I mean, that's the system that we have, and
It's been working.
yes, and it has been working. I don't think, but I know Terry had a suggestion on, you know, if there was some ideas, maybe there's a different idea that we haven't thought of. So, all right, any other comments before we adjourn? Okay, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn. It's 7:55.
I'll motion to adjourn.
My phone is dying.
Mr. Bear, Mr. Lawson,
Yes.
Mr. Ruskin,
Yes.
Mr. Chris,